Hey everyone, Scott here from Country Roads Fly Company, coming at you from wild, wonderful West Virginia. And welcome to Wrap by Wrap, where we cover specific fly tying techniques. And in today's video, we're going to talk about wrapping a parachute hackle. So let's dive right into it. Okay, so I've got a fly started here. We're building a kind of a high-vis Adams parachute dry fly here. And I'm at the point where I'm going to start mounting my hackle that will ultimately become my parachute hackle. So to get to this point, we covered this in a previous video, preparing this wing post. So if you missed that or you just need a refresher, please feel free to go check that video out. But at this point on this fly, I've got it dubbed all the way up to the wing post, and I'm ready to mount my hackle feather to this hook shank in front of the wing post. Now I know a lot of tyers don't bother mounting their hackle to the shank. A lot of people just attach it directly to the base of the wing post here. But we're going to go ahead and mount it to the hook shank. I think it just makes for a more durable fly. What I'm going to do, I'm going to position my feather. We're just using one feather for this Adams. We've got a Cree hackle here. The traditional Adams recipe calls for a grizzly and a brown, two hackles. But the process is essentially the same with whether you're using one or two. So I'm going to just take a loose wrap around the bare hackle stem at this point in front of the wing post. Then I'm going to gauge how much bare hackle stem I want to extend up the wing post at this point. As you can see, the bare stem extends just a hair above the last wrap of my wing post base. And that's what I want. So if you need to make some adjustments, you can pull on the stem end or the hackled feather end to make any minute adjustments you need to get that into the proper position. Once you're happy with that, you can just take some nice snug wraps around the hook shank to secure the stem to the hook shank, and then snip off any excess that you have. And cover up any remaining stem. Okay. So now I'm going to work my thread back towards the wing post base. And then I'm going to grab the feather and the wing at the same time, hold them up. Then I'm just going to start making horizontal clockwise wraps around both the hackle feather and the wing post. So I'm securing hackle feather to the wing post. And once I reach the top, I'm just going to work my way back down. Once I'm at the bottom, I'm just going to make a wrap around the hook shank and secure everything. So at this point, we've got our hackle feather ready to be wrapped. But before I do that for this particular fly, I need to finish the body. I need to dub the thorax. So I will do that now, and then we'll demonstrate wrapping the parachute hackle. Okay, so at this point, I've completed dubbing the thorax of this fly, and I've also performed an initial whip finish. So the thread has been removed from the fly, and I'm ready to start wrapping my parachute hackle at this point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and remove the fly from its horizontal orientation. I'm going to mount it vertically in my vise, like so. And then I obviously need to reattach some thread. So I'm going to take my thread, And starting at the very top of the base of the wing post where my last my last thread wrap formed the base is, I'm going to start attaching this thread to the base of the wing post, working my way downward. Just as you would to secure the thread to the hook shank initially. Same process. It's also worth mentioning that I've switched to a lighter gauge thread at this point. So this particular fly was using a 6/0 thread. I've switched to a thinner 12/0 thread for this portion of the fly. So once I've got that thread attached, I attach my hackle pliers to the feather. So I'm going to start making wraps at the top wing post, securing the post in my offhand as I make these wraps. Initial wraps will have to be a bit light in tension, just as the thread was as you worked your way up the post towards the top. Then as I work my way down, I'm going to gradually increase the tension on this feather, trying my best to make sure each successive wrap is under any hackles that have already splayed out from previous wraps, trying not to pinch them down as best I can. Then once I've reached the bottom of the post, I'm going to maintain tension on the feather and the hackle pliers in my offhand, and I'm going to make wraps around the post, securing the feather to the base of the wing post. And I'm trying to weave the thread underneath any hackle fiber so I don't trap them. Also make sure your thread passes over the top of the hook eye, and make a few wraps like this. Should be sufficient. And then I'm going to sneak my scissors in as close as I can, trying not to clip off any hackles. Just clip off that feather. Okay. Now I'm going to do a whip finish fly in this position. And once again, try and make sure I don't catch any hackle fibers as I make these whip finish wraps, which can be a bit challenging. Take your time and you can get it. Just gonna make a few wraps here. And there we go. All right. Now I'm going to return the fly to its original position in the vise. And then the nice thing about synthetic wing post material is that you can trim it to size. So I'm going to just pull some tension, gauge where I want to cut material, and just snip. And there we've got a pretty nice looking high-vis Adams dry fly parachute. And you'll want to take some head cement and secure where your tie-off points were, as you normally would with any fly. That's about all there is to it. I hope you found this video on wrapping parachute hackle helpful. Looking forward to seeing you next time on Wrap by Wrap. Until then, thanks for watching.